So when we get down into this position, what I want you to do first of all is put your feet together, toes out, heels out, and just be aware that your feet are pointing forward. And that's going to get your feet hip width apart. So have a quick look up when you're there. Okay, can you think about lengthening the neck? Opening up across the shoulder blades and relaxing the arms down by the side of the body. And I'm going to get you to take them a little bit away from the body. I've got my palms down, it's whatever's comfortable for you. And we're going to start by just tilting the back into the mat and arching it away. So again, you're working on that pelvis position. You can put the heels of the hands on those bony bits at the top of your hips and create a diamond. And check that when you come back to the centre it's neutral. So you've got a little bit of gap under your back. And from there we're going to do some moves. Coming back to neutral, so you've got that level diamond on the top of your belly. I'm going to ask you to take your hands onto the top of your hips, so that bony bit on the top of your hips. And I want you to engage the core, and we want to try and keep the spine as close as possible, as still as possible. And I want you to just slide a right leg away and bring it back in. And you're trying to keep the other leg as still as possible. So the heel stays on the mat, just skimming across the surface of the mat and coming back. Keep breathing, breathing out as you take that leg away. In as you come back. Don't get too worked up about the breathing. As long as you're breathing, that's the important thing. Moving slowly with your breath. And just be aware of what's going on with that pelvis. Once you know you're stable, you can take the hands away if it's more comfortable, or slide them under your back and just feel if there's any movement there. So really holding this on the core, trying to keep the pelvis as still as possible. Let's relax for a moment, bringing the arms to the side of the body. And I want you to take the right arm above the head, left hand on the rib cage, so as you do this you feel what's going on with the ribs. Taking the arm as high as you comfortably can without lifting the rib cage, coming back. Doesn't matter if you don't touch the floor. And change sides, so taking the right hand onto the ribs and lift. Once you know you've got that working correctly, we're going to add a same leg slide, so you're going to slide the heel away and the arm. You know how far up your arm can go. You're trying to keep the pelvis still and the rib cage. A lot to think about. Nice and slow, same side again, breathing out as you go away from the body. And we're going to change to the other side. Music will join us again shortly. Engaging that core, breathing out as the arm goes away, in as it comes back. Okay, from there, again, make sure you've got that neutral spine. You want to take the hands, and if you're comfortable to, you might not be able to get there, but if you can, stick the back of your hands under your back. Feel that gap, a little gap underneath the back, that you've got the neutral spine. If that's uncomfortable, try it on top. Just check that diamond, that you're not tilting your back into the floor or arching your back too far away. Hands again, if you can, on the bony piece on the front of your hips. And I want you to push your left heel into the ground to help engage the core. Pull the belly button in, and you're going to slowly drop that right knee towards the floor, coming onto the side of the foot. And I want you to really make sure, have a quick look up, that that left leg isn't moving, coming back up as you breathe in. So as you breathe out, let's change leg. Take the leg down. It's not going to go very far, just as far as you comfortably can, without the pelvis rocking. So we're holding it on that core. Take a couple of deep breaths. Make sure you're breathing throughout this, breathing out as you take that leg down. It looks like a really simple movement, but it's actually a lot harder than it looks. To the other side now. Taking the fingertips a little bit further up onto your belly so that you can feel what's going on as we do this. And I want you to lift your right leg up into tabletop and take it down. Nothing moving, that's good. Engage the core, breathing out as you lift up, in as you lift down. Lift. This is the easiest version, so as we move on, if this gets too much for you, you're going to come back to this version. So I'm going to ask you to bring your right leg up, left leg up, right leg down, left leg down. Let's change, left leg up this time. As you do that, are you feeling your abdominals, your tummy muscles pop up? Left leg down, right leg down. Let's bring that right leg up again. Left leg up. Really engage the core. Right leg down. Left leg down. So if you find that your tummy is popping up as you do this, then come back to the slightly easier version, because it is quite hard to lift that second leg up. An intermediate version is just to tap one down at a time, but just be really aware of what's going on. If your abdominals, if your tummy muscles are weak, you're going to struggle. Keeping those feet soft. So we're hinging from the hip, the knee stays in tabletop. Hug the knees into the chest. Give that a little bit of a rock and a rest. Lovely. Take it the other way. So we're going to move back now to do something that's going to stretch through the hips for those of you with tight hips, but also to work on the stability of your pelvis. So we're going to take the feet back together, toes out, heels out, and then shuffle them back a little bit closer to your bottom. You can take your hands down either side of the body, and I want you to roll up, bringing the hips off the ground without arching the ribs off the floor. Now, taking the hands up, place them on your hips and feel what's going on. Very, very gently. It's a very small movement. I want you to lift your heel only of your right foot off the ground and drop it back down. That hip should stay still. If it isn't, you need to make the movement even smaller. Lift and lower. If that one's working for you, you can take it a little bit higher in a moment. But I want you to be sure, first of all, that that pelvis is staying where it is. Beautiful, wonderful, lovely, yeah? Okay. So coming up onto that toe, just see what happens if you lift the toe off the ground. I suspect that most of you are going to find that your hip drops. If it does, go back to the easier version. Lift onto the toe. Take it down. That's quite hard on the back, so let's roll back down. Bring the knees in one at a time. Give them a little bit of a hug. Do something a bit gentler. Take the legs down one at a time to the floor. And let's go back to that heel slide. So feet together, toes out, heels out. You're going to slide that heel away. Think about the position of your pelvis. Neutral spine. Your spine staying still. Now this time, just to complicate matters, I want you, as you slide your right leg away, to take your left arm over your head. And let's come back and do the other side. So nice and slow. Breathing out as your leg slides away and the opposite arm goes above the head. And the other side. Watch again what's going on with your rib cage. You're engaging the core and you're breathing throughout. I'm just going to do one little bit of work for our shoulders. So taking the arms straight up towards the ceiling, palms facing. So if you're not sure, have a quick look up and see what I'm doing. You're going to drop those shoulder blades heavily into the mat, open up across the middle of the back, make it as widely spread on the mat as possible, and make those shoulders heavy into the ground. You might not touch if your shoulders are a little bit rounded, and all I want you to do is lift the shoulder off the mat and let it come back to the mat, keeping those arms as straight as you can. So you're not bending the arm, you're just lifting the shoulder up, letting it drop back to the mat, lifting the shoulder up and back down to the mat, lifting it up and back down to the mat. Just getting some movement in that shoulder and ribcage area. Lovely. Coming back. So we're going to go back to these knee drops, and I'm going to give a harder version for those of you that have been doing this for a while. Hands on the hips, engage the core. Basic version is that knee drop that we did before, keeping the pelvis as still as possible. Okay. But for those of you who are a little bit stronger, have been doing it a bit longer, and don't rush this, please stay with the easy version. If this is your first time with me, bringing the knees up into tabletop, make sure the weight of those knees is just slightly over the body. You might want to take the hands onto the floor to press down, and I want you to drop one knee to the side and back up. This is really going to challenge your core. Again, you might want to put your hands on your pelvis, feel what's going on. When you're doing this, the pelvis shouldn't be dropping to the side. Now, if you were struggling and couldn't lift your foot off the floor earlier, then this probably isn't the workout, the movement for you, in which case you're going to take those feet back down to the floor. You're going to know if you couldn't do the heel lift. Never can say never, because you might be able to do this one but not the other one, but fairly good chance. So just taking it to whichever version. Just getting some mobility in the hips. And then we're going to do a little bit of a stretch. The standing work we did earlier on was really working these muscles in the side of the body. So I'm going to ask you to take the hands out to the side, feet together, and you're going to lift the right foot off the floor and drop the knees over to the left side, keeping those shoulder blades on the floor and getting a rotation through the upper spine and across the hip. And hold it there for a moment. Keep breathing. A couple of nice deep breaths. Coming back to centre. Both feet stay on the floor. Rest there for a moment. Spread the shoulder blades out nice and widely on the mat. Hands are out of the way again. Lifting the left foot off the floor. Feet stay together as you roll over. Keeping the shoulders down. And just go as far as is comfortable for you. So if you can only come part way, that's fine. And centre. Now I'm going to ask you to hug your right knee into the chest. And from there, take the hands underneath the leg and hold the back of the thigh. And I just want you to straighten and bend that leg. Straighten and bend that leg. And then when it's as straight as it comfortably will be, as it comfortably can be, with the weight of the leg over the body. So I don't want it here, I want it up here. Just relax into that stretch. Let's take it down. Just do that on the other side and release. And we've run out of music there. Take that foot up and hold.